Hello everybody, I'm Ashish and today I'm going to talk about testing and risk. Now, testing and risk are very closely related. You see, as a project owner, I'm more interested to remove or rather solve those risks which are highly important for me or which will impact my business. So if you see as a project manager or if as a project owner, I would prefer to get those defects solved first which are linked with most critical risk profile. So that is the connection between risk and testing. Hmm? Okay. So as per definition, risk is any negative impact that could occur. Now, risk can be of two types predominantly. It can be product risk or a project risk. Now, project risk is any activity that has a negative impact on the planning of the project. Anything that will have a negative impact on the planning of a project, that is project risk. For example, a team member who got sick, supplier who delivered the artifact late, testing team found lot of defects, hence retesting will take more time, thus change in the planning. Scope keeps changing. Now all these are having a negative impact on the planning. So all these can be seen as project risk. Now one tip that I can share with you, and this will help you to identify in ISTQB exams what is a project risk and what is a product risk. Now the tip is, most of the time there is a human angle involved in project risk. If you see most of the example that I've quoted to you, it has either a team member or a supplier or somebody found something. Scope keeps changing, that when business analyst is involved, you see there is some human angle attached to it, and you're always going to have impact on the planning. The keyword is impact on the planning. Fine. Now on the other hand, a product risk is basically any activity that will have a negative impact on the quality of the product. So if a quality of the product is getting impacted, those are then called product risk. You see, for example, any risk that can be linked to the functional and non-functional requirement of the test object. Any risk that you can link on the functional and non-functional requirement of the test object, or application under test or system under test, they are called product risk. Yeah. For example, if let's say there is a requirement like an application should accept all mode of payment. Now the product risk, that any product risk that is linked with this requirement is a product risk. So any activity, any negative thing that can happen to this requirement is a product risk. You see, and if you observe, normally testing is an activity that brings down the product risk. So in other way we can say that testing is an activity which will bring down the product risk, or one of the purpose of testing is to reduce the risk associated with application under test or test object. Fine. And always keep in mind, this is a tip with respect to ISTQB exams, always keep in mind the way you are going to identify a product risk and a project risk is, for product risk you will see it will have a link to functional and non-functional requirement. So it will not have a link towards a human, it will have a link toward functional and non-functional requirement. Whereas in project risk you will see the link is more towards some human angle, and then this is having an impact towards the timeline of the project. Fine. Okay.